As reactions are pouring in over Michelle Trachtenberg's sudden passing from her Gossip Girl co-stars, so are new details that suggest that there's a lot more to her passing than what was originally reported. For instance, the 911 call alone raises more questions than answers.
I'm responsive female, approximately 30 years old, be advised location as EDP history, and EMS is about 20 minutes out.
EDP history, noted in the dispatch call, stands for emotionally distressed person.
Initial reports all say liver disease, but is that the whole story? Or could there be something more?
It is obviously a stunning piece of news for Hollywood, but the fact that she was so young is what's shocking to people, but we've done some digging here and found out some things that she's been going through that may shed some light on this.
But speaking of tributes pouring in from Michelle's Gossip Girl co-stars, it's probably no surprise, but yep, Blake Lively has done it again. Fans are absolutely boiling with anger over Blake's supposedly self-serving tribute to Michelle. And if you read between the lines, it's easy to see why Michelle's fans are so furious with Blake. But before I go full-out Gossip Girl mode and explain the whole Blake Lively disaster tribute, it's important that we pay proper tribute to Michelle Trachtenberg, who passed away at just 39 years old, and also share the touching tributes from some of her co-stars. The world first fell in love with her when she was just 10 years old, playing the ever-iconic and too smart for her shoes, Harriet the Spy.
A kid that's going through life in a certain way, and she's experiencing things that are just like reality, you know? And I saw a lot of myself in her because we have a lot of things in common, like we both love to read and write, we wear the same clothing, like baggy jeans, like jeans, you know? And we eat the same foods, tomato sandwiches.
Mom, I can't help it if I know what I like, and I know that I like.
But even long before that, Michelle was no stranger to film cameras, appearing in countless TV commercials and guest spots on shows like Law & Order and All My Children.
I saw you in Pete and Pete and in about 9 trillion commercials. When was the first commercial you did?
My first commercial was whisk detergent commercial.
How old were you?
I think I was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we fell even more in love with her as Buffy the Vampire Slayer's sister, Dawn Summers.
What are you doing here?
Buffy, if you're going out, why don't you take your sister?
Mom!
But perhaps one of her most iconic roles was that of the real villain in Gossip Girl. And no, I don't mean Blake Lively's character. Obviously, I'm talking about the super dark and wicked Georgina Sparks.
Stop going for the heart. Go for the jugular. Georgina is actually my favorite character that I've played because she's such an evil it was fun.
Bless us, Father. I have a feeling we're about to sin.
But while friends, family, and co-stars are mourning the actress' sudden passing, there's already internet theories making the rounds that maybe it's not all as clear-cut as most of us would like to believe, and that maybe there was some kind of foul play at hand. For one, the 911 dispatch call did raise some suspicion.
I'm responsive female, approximately 30 years old, be advised location as EDP history, and EMS is about 20 minutes out.
EDP history, noted in the dispatch call, stands for emotionally distressed person.
Now, for anyone following the story as it unfolds, it's no secret that Michelle had been looking frail and tired in her recent social media posts, with many fans even highlighting it in the comments. All the flags in this photo and nobody wondering. The hair, the bones, skin. Some fans even went as far as putting her frail appearance down to substance use or mental disorders.
When I do look at social media, which is challenging, it's so kind of crazy to me.
But as we know now, Michelle suffered liver problems and even underwent a liver transplant in 2024. This definitely helps explain her appearance. But internet sleuths are still bringing up the little question of the emotionally distressed person that we all heard in that chilling dispatch call. Did Michelle have a history of mental health problems that she had kept under wraps? And then there's one other question also bugging fans. Why did her family refuse to get an autopsy done? Because as of now, her cause of death is officially ruled as undetermined. Well, it could be as simple as a question of religion.
Michelle and her family are Jewish, and according to the very brief research that I did, quote, Jewish law generally prohibits autopsies, but there are some exceptions. Jewish law views autopsies as desecrating the body. Scripture prohibits disfiguring the body after death, and the body must be buried in its entirety.
But some people aren't having it and still insist that there's something way too fishy about her sudden passing. For one, she was reportedly healthy and in good spirits just days before.
We've also spoken to people close to her who tell us that she was out on the town in New York City as early as last Thursday, out with friends. She went to an Italian restaurant down in Soho. So within the last week, she was in good enough condition to leave her apartment and go out and spend time with friends.
Right, that's pretty shocking, right? I mean, you would think if somebody was in such bad condition that they would die less than a week later.
Right, that she was
be able to actually go out.
But then again, there are conflicting reports that say the exact opposite.
Michelle had opened up to a close circle and, quote, told friends she was struggling with health issues and really sick. In fact, she was so unwell that when she went out to dinner in New York City last week, she couldn't walk downstairs. A friend of the 39-year-old's shares that Michelle ultimately, quote, knew that death was a high possibility.
It's all these conflicting stories that really fuel the burning question, is there more to Michelle Trachtenberg's sudden passing than meets the eye? And fans are not letting this one go. Cover up? Another Hollywood mystery? This is very, very suspicious. What does the family know that they're not trying to tell us? I want answers, and I want answers now. But unfortunately, there will always be more questions than answers in this tragic case. And all I say is, let her rest in peace, and let's honor her memory and celebrate her life. And that's exactly what her co-stars are doing, with countless tributes pouring in. From Sarah Michelle Gellar to Allison Hannigan and even Rosie O'Donnell, this is how celebrities reacted. And of course, I know everyone is red hot with anticipation to hear how Blake Lively landed herself in hot water. Again. So let's kick off with the gossip and work our way down. Blake Lively.
Told her a little secret. That's the way you want to play it? That's how we'll play it.
No, I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Well, you should be.
Well, it seems like Blake is damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. Taking to her Instagram stories, Blake wrote a message in tribute to Michelle, but fans were quick to tear it apart and to condemn Blake. Here's what she said, but be warned, it's a lengthy one. You knew when she entered a room because the vibration changed. Everything she did 200%. She laughed the fullest at someone's joke. She faced authority head on when she felt something was wrong. She cared deeply about her work. She was proud to be a part of this community and industry, as painful as it could be sometimes. She was fiercely loyal to her friends and brave for those she loved. She was big and bold and distinctly herself, and she always had yummy caramel smelling lip gloss on because she didn't just want to sparkle on camera. She liked creating a nice experience for anyone who was in her orbit, even down to the subtle smell of her lip gloss, because she cared about the sweet details. And then the post goes on and on and on. But why are people wanting to tear Blake apart? Well, for one, countless comments on social media all more or less say the same thing, which goes a little something like this. Blake Lively said she faced authority head-on when she felt something was wrong. I think this whole post is meant to be commentary that Blake wants the public to associate with herself, not Michelle. They were definitely not friends on set because, as Blake notes, Michelle was a good, kind person, something Blake knows nothing of, but she has enough people in her corner to regurgitate phrases that make her sound remotely intelligent and caring.
So for Blake to take this moment and make it about her, and this is what I'm saying, Blake Lively knows, she's smart enough to know that if she wrote about Michelle today, she would take attention and make it about her. Because look at us. We're sitting here and I'm making a video about it instead of just keeping it about Michelle. She didn't even wait a day. She didn't even wait a day. But that's Blake Lively for you. It's so typical. It's so expected. And if you know her, which I think we've all gotten to know her really, really well during this case, this is not shocking.
But there's a lot more to this whole saga, and it gets juicy. Here's the real kicker. Sharp-eyed critics who have been closely following the Blake versus Justin legal fiasco have dug up an old text of Blake to Justin. A pretty damning text, by the way, that Justin's lawyer could possibly turn against her as evidence to pretty much destroy some of Blake's claims. And here's the message. I'll just scan through the important bits, but be warned, it's pretty cringe. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting will play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth. Wait a minute. Did she seriously say never with teeth? Is that some dirty innuendo for, Okay, let's just leave it at that. So anyways, this text message clearly shows that Blake was openly and unapologetically flirtatious with Justin Baldoni. And of course, Justin's lawyer can possibly use it to expose Blake. But what critics are now saying is that Blake shamelessly used Michelle Trachtenberg's passing as a little golden opportunity to cover her own butt. And how? Well, let's take another look at Blake's tribute message and pay close attention to these specific words: bold and yummy.
Don't think the words bold and yummy were an accident here, because we know that Blake Lively had her text message. It was a deliberate decision to use the words bold and yummy in this tribute so that should that text message get pulled into question, they can reference this tribute that she wrote to her old friend Michelle, who I hear didn't even like Blake Lively, and they did not get along on the set.
And yeah, it would seem that Michelle really didn't like Blake at all. And this is not just gossip or word on the street. Take from someone who was close to Michelle who had this to say.
But then I got a DM from someone who was Michelle's friend, and this is where the lies get exposed. I'm going to keep the source anonymous, but this was someone in Michelle's life. It says, the audacity. I knew she was going to post something acting like they were friends. Michelle couldn't stand Blake. I said, oh my God, what do you know? She said, nothing too crazy. It was just that Michelle was a real actor who had been acting for a long time, and she couldn't stand the way Blake didn't respect any part of it, especially other people's time, and the fact that she was always holding up set. Blake wasted everyone's time. Michelle did not like having her time wasted, and rightfully so.
And if that's not enough proof that they may have hated each other, there's more. Remember how the entire cast of It Ends With Us sided with Blake and voiced their support for her when she accused Justin Baldoni of well, Michelle stayed hush-hush and never said a word. But here's the thing, Michelle was known for sticking up for her co-stars and defending them when she believed them.
Remember when all of the Buffy drama went down with Joss Whedon? Many former Buffy the Vampire Slayers came out and made bold accusations against the show's creator and executive producer, Joss Whedon. Leading that charge was Buffy and Angel alum Charisma Carpenter. She publicly took to social media to support Charisma and others that spoke out against Joss Whedon, and she said, I am brave enough now as a 35-year-old woman. This must, period, be known, period, as a teenager, period, with his not appropriate behavior. Very not appropriate.
But guess what Michelle had to say when she was asked about Blake Lively's allegations of SH? Let's just say she didn't stick up for her former co-star at all.
Michelle was asked, would love to see you release a statement on the Blake drama. And she responded, gosh, I'm busy worrying about real world news and families who have no home anymore from the LA fires. But you do you.
I don't know about you, but Michelle's response said everything.
If they were friends, that could have been an opportunity for Michelle to support the Beanie aficionado, but she didn't. It could be that Michelle did not believe her former co-star, and she was not one that was afraid to speak out publicly.
But anyways, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this whole public nightmare, because that's what Blake's tribute to Michelle has turned into for her. Another PR disaster. Did Blake have a hidden agenda, or was she actually being sincere? I'll leave that for you guys to tell me. But moving on to the other tributes. Before we get to her Gossip Girl co-stars, I want to throw in two other tributes first, which literally made me cry. Sarah Michelle Gellar. On Instagram, the Buffy star shared several emotional photos of herself and Michelle together, captioning the post, Michelle, listen to me. Listen, I love you. I will always love you. The hardest thing in this world is to live in it. I will be brave. I will live for you. Michelle had played Buffy's younger sister, Dawn, and during that time, the two co-stars grew incredibly close. But what really hit home is that Sarah's words are more than just a sweet tribute. It's also a nod to their emotional final scene together on the show.
Dawn, listen to me. Listen. I love you. I will always love you. Dawn, the hardest thing in this world is to live in it. Be brave. Live. For me.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie was my biggest supporter. I'm extremely grateful for the experience.
After starring together in Harriet the Spy when Michelle was just 10 years old, Rosie and Michelle had remained close throughout the years.
Yes, I loved making the movie.
Why was it so much fun?
Well, truthfully, because you were there, and even before that I knew you were going to be Gully in this movie.
Yeah.
You were one of my favorite actresses. I've seen you in League of Their Own and Flintstones.
Well,
and I
thank you
really-
very much.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite actresses.
In a short but sweet tribute that really pulls at the heartstrings, Rosie simply said, "I loved her very much. She struggled the last few years. I wish I could have helped." Several of Michelle's Gossip Girl co-stars also posted heartfelt tributes to her. Chase Crawford. Playing Nate Archibald, one of the main Gossip Girl characters, Chase took to Instagram to share some never-before-seen, behind-the-scenes pics of him and Michelle. In loving memory of his former co-star, he wrote, "Michelle was one of a kind. I remember her coming on set for the first time and just absolutely owning it. She was a force of nature and just so unapologetically funny and magnetic. Remembering those years with a big smile. Just a terrible loss. Love you." Ed Westwick. Actor and musician Ed Westwick, known for his role as Chuck Bass on Gossip Girl, also shared a short but touching tribute. On his Instagram stories, he shared this throwback photo of Michelle with the heartfelt caption, "So sad to hear of the passing of Michelle Trachtenberg. Sending prayers." Taylor Momsen. A girl of many talents, from singer to model to actress, Taylor played Jenny Humphrey on Gossip Girl. From her loving tribute to Michelle, it's clear that the two girls shared a long friendship and that she will be deeply missed. On Instagram, Taylor wrote, "In shock. When I met this girl 17 years ago, I knew we'd be friends. She was smart and sassy, bold and sensitive, funny as and filled with fire. She was simply awesome. I'll miss our late night calls that no one should ever hear but us. She was always in my corner and there to support me whether I was right or wrong. I will miss you every day, my love." But the tributes didn't stop there. Michelle's Buffy co-stars also joined in. James Marsters. James, who played William Spike Pratt on Buffy, also took to Instagram to share his grief. "My heart is heavy today. We have lost a beautiful soul. Michelle was fiercely intelligent, howlingly funny, and a very talented person. She died much too young and leaves behind scores of people who knew and loved her. My heart goes out to her family, who are good people and are suffering the greatest loss anyone could bear. I hope everyone can give them space to heal in this most difficult time. Godspeed, Michelle. You are missed." Allison Hannigan. Known for her comedy roles and also as the much-loved Willow Rosenberg on Buffy, Allison also shared her sorrow on social media. "I am deeply saddened by the news of Michelle's passing. She brought a loving energy to the set of Buffy. My thoughts are with Michelle's family and friends." David Boreanaz. Another Buffy co-star, David kept his tribute short and sincere, simply writing on his Instagram story, "So very sad. Horrible news. RIP and prayers to her and her family. As for me, all my love and condolences to her friends and family. No words can heal the wounds. Rest in peace, Michelle. Gone, but not forgotten. The world lost a bright star." If you have any words to leave in her memory, feel free to share your love in the comments below.